For the flag pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Snuck up on me. Okay, a few items to cover before we get started. Please sign in at the door, outside the door if you have not already done so. There you'll find a detailed handout of the step-by-step procedure we will follow tonight. If you wish to take a handout, please grab one. Please put all electronic devices on silent mode at this time. Also, please note that all testimonies be recorded for the record. Members of the Planning Commission are appointed by the County Board of Commissioners with one member from each of the 5 commissioner districts. Land Service staff is here to assist the Planning Commission with its duties. The task of the Planning Commission is to hold a public hearing and make a recommendation to the County Board of Commissioners for approval or denial of requests for conditional and interim use permits, rezones, plats, and ordinance amendments in accordance with the state law and county ordinance. The burden of proving a request must meet the criteria for approval rests with the applicant. There is a protocol for how we will proceed tonight. For each request on the agenda, we will hear a staff report, hear testimony from the applicants, and then we will discuss and gather more information as needed. Next, I will ask if there's anyone in the audience wishing to speak to the request. I will ask each party to come to the podium, state their name and address for the record, and give their testimony, and that'd be by the podium by the door. Please be as factual as possible and direct all statements and questions to me. After all testimony is complete, I will close the public hearing portion of the process. The Planning Commission will then review and discuss the case in their terms of our findings of fact criteria as required by Minnesota statute and county ordinance. We will have a series of votes, discuss whether conditions be made. Then there will be a final motion to recommend approval or denial to the County Board of Commissioners. After the final vote on your request, you may leave if you wish. The County Board of Commissioners will then consider your request and our recommendation at their next regular meeting and will either grant or deny the request. Tonight we have 2 agenda items. First we have... Three, sorry, forgot about that. We have to do elections first, right?
Correct.
Yes, first we're doing election of officers. Just for this, right?
So you'll want to take nominations?
Yeah, we're doing it just for this, not the other one.
Correct, just for planning commission.
Okay, so at this time, we take a nomination for president, or chairperson, I should say.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead, John.
I'd like to nominate Clinton Catherine for the chairperson of the Planning Commission.
Is there any other nominations?
Mr. Chair, I'll second that motion and say that we should close all other nominations.
Okay, so I guess then you agree with that, John?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so all in favor of Clint for chair, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
I guess. Okay, vice chair.
For the sake of time, Mr. Chair, I'd like to nominate Brent Lindgren as the vice chairperson and Marv Treadle as the secretary. The people currently seated in their board member roles.
Okay, any other nominations? Can you repeat that, John?
The people currently sitting in their roles: Brent Lindgren as vice chairman, Marv Treadle as secretary.
I'll second that motion.
You're good with that?
Good to go.
Okay, so we have a motion made and second to approve the past ones to be the future ones. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Okay. So let me read that then quick. Okay, so for 2025, we'll have Clint Catherine as chairman, Brent Lindgren for vice chairman, Marvin Treadle for secretary. So we'll say elections are over, so we'll move on to our second item. That will be Dwayne and Roseanne Hoffman Revocable Trust. If you guys would want to come up to the front again, please. Application for a final plat to allow 44 buildable lots located in point of the south half, Section 6, Township 42, Range 28, Richardson Township. If you guys would state your names for the record, please.
Gary Hoffman.
Jackie Hoffman.
Kathy Hoffman, tax.
Okay, thank you. Amy, you ready with the staff report at this time?
I am, Mr. Chair. Again, this is the hearing for the final plat proposal. This is located in Section 6 of Richardson Township. The ordinance reference is Section 1500, and that pertains to the platting of land in Morrison County. And then here is a plat map of Richardson Township, and the red dot is the location of the property. And then here is the plat request received from the applicant, and then also the final plat drawing. Here's an aerial photograph of the property that is to be platted. And the proposed plat is on an 82.79 acre parcel in Richardson Township. The applicant, also known as the developer, is proposing a residential subdivision with 44 buildable lots and 2 outlots. The property is dually zoned shoreland and residential, and the areas with a shoreland designation do not have frontage on Platte Lake, but are within 1,000 feet of the lake. So here is an aerial photograph of the property again with the zoning layers. So everything in green has a shoreland designation, and everything in blue on the property has a residential designation. The Planning Commission heard the preliminary plat for this parcel on October 29th, 2024. The points of discussion included that the applicant stated most of the sites will be utilized for garages and/or personal storage. Covenants will address outdoor storage, the types of homes, prohibition of parking on the road, and junk accumulation. Power and telephone services are stubbed to each lot. Soils have been verified for type 1 septic systems on each lot. The smallest lot size is 0.66 acres. The township is aware and accepts the roads within the plat to be narrower than specification for new roads. And the property has been in the Conservation Reserve Program since 1980. 3 individuals, including 2 Richardson Township board members, commented at the public hearing, and the township members confirmed acceptance of a narrower road width for maintenance purposes with a plan for dust control on the Class 5 surface. A right-of-way ordinance will be enforced to prohibit parking along the roads within the plat. A neighboring property owner inquired about the tax impact the plat will have on surrounding properties. The Planning Commission recommended approval of the preliminary plat and asked the developer to review the covenants to address the types of buildings allowed and other items that would keep the plat looking nice. The County Board of Commissioners approved the preliminary plat on November 5th, 2024. Newly developed roads will serve the entire subdivision. A developer's agreement detailing the road specifications, timeline, and bond amount has been drafted and reviewed by the county attorney and given to the developer. If the County Board of Commissioners approves the final plat, the developer's agreement will be executed. The Public Works Department is aware of this project and will oversee the construction of the roads. A turn lane is required on the north end, which is the entrance to the subdivision, off Quest Road, which is also known as County State Aid Highway 51, and direct access to Quest Road on the east side of the development must be removed. No driveway entrances will be installed directly onto Quest Road. So here is the draft development agreement that was drafted and provided to the developer. The developer has submitted a declaration of restrictive covenants. No homeowners association is proposed. Individual property owners will be responsible for enforcing the covenants through litigation. The covenants give each property owner the right of action. And then here is that was submitted by the applicant. The engineering firm has provided final subdivision improvement plans and a project manual. I have not uploaded that whole thing, but you've received all of that in its entirety in your packet. The applicable comprehensive plan goals and objectives is residential goal B1, objective 2 and 3, and then goal B2, objectives 1 and 2, And then the comprehensive water plan goals and objectives is the surface water goal, objectives B and C, and the land use and development goal, objectives B and D. 152 notices were sent, and no comment was received prior to the public hearing. So, Mr. Chair, there are no criteria questions for plats, so this will just be a discussion and a recommendation.
Yep. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Amy. I guess at this time, the applicants is what you've seen in the staff report accurate to you guys? Do you have
Yes.
anything to add, or?
It's pretty straightforward.
Okay. So then at this time, I'll open it up to the planning commission. If you guys have any questions for the applicants or staff, now would be the time.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead, George.
I'm looking on the development agreement here, Gary, under improvements, number 3. It says placement of wearing pavement shall not commence without county authorization. Now, it was my understanding that there was going to be no pavement on this road, correct?
They want pavement on the turn lane and coming in the first, what do you call it? Claremont Street. The county asked if we would blacktop that. So we're gonna blacktop that part.
Okay, so that's where that's coming from. then.
That's where that's coming
Okay,
from.
Okay. And then I guess I'd just like to make a comment on, you're gonna have a gravel road in there, and I guess I'm on a township board myself, and I'm the road supervisor, and I guess my concern would be probably long after you and I are gone, when that plat is full of houses, if there's gonna be 40-some houses in there, that's gonna be 200 cars a day. And I guess my only question would be is that, I know how tough it is to maintain a 200-car-a-day road. It's not very easy. So I guess that's my only concern. I'm just throwing that out there.
Well, there is no real long straightaways on this, so you're not gonna get cars spinning and getting up to speed. It'll be under 30 miles an hour, the whole thing. And our township does a lot of chloride. And they plan to chloride this too. So,
Thank you. Yeah, that was just my concern, it's a concern because we run into it, then the property owners want to come and they want the township to tar the road, and of course, if the township's got a good plan in place for paving gravel roads is one thing, I guess they should always be prepared for that.
Yep.
So, okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead, Marvin.
one comment I'll make is I was very impressed how well put together this was. I'm sure there was a lot of collaboration with land services to get it to this point. But the next part that a bit concerning to me, but you see it a lot of these places, you have 44 lots. Chances are you're going to have 88 cars there. Everybody have a couple of cars. One entrance, one exit. It's a good thing, bad thing. Good thing to control what comes in there. But what about the event of a major catastrophe and you need to get emergency vehicles in and out like that, a fire or something? Has it been given any thought about a possible emergency exit?
on the west end, there is a road approach that the snowmobile trail will use to come up onto, to turn onto their easement.
Okay.
That will stay there, and that could be used in the event of something. It's been in my mind already too.
Okay,
It's not
that's
something
good.
that's totally blank, but that'll have some bearing right there.
Yeah, otherwise, I mean, it's very well put together, very well laid out, and I just thought, hey,
Outlot A goes over to the snowmobile trail that we're gonna have a little park made into, so I can easily make a little road there and down to the snowmobile trail, and you could come out there real easily.
okay,
That's something that's been in my mind. Even though the snowmobile trail has the easement, I'm sure they would be more than happy if there's an event of something bad, that everybody use it,
okay,
because it's for the public.
yes. Okay, sounds good, thank you.
Okay, again, looking through this application is very well put together. One thing we asked the last time we met for the pre-approval of this was to nail down your covenants, and you did that, so that's spelled out really good in here, so I understand that very good, so thank you for that.
Yep.
And it looks pretty reasonable, so as far as I'm concerned, as far as the covenants. Just one question I had, I don't think it needs to be decided tonight, but just if you had any thoughts on it is, it says here, the developer shall submit a performance bond, escrow, cash escrow, or a irrevocable letter of credit to assure the improvements are made. Have you given any thoughts, or what are you guys gonna do with that? How are you gonna go about that?
Mr. Chair, I think did you switch gears back over to the development agreement? I know you started out on the covenants, but are you referring to
Yes, okay, covenants were one, this is a
the
separate.
financial assurance?
Yeah, this is
Okay.
separate, sorry.
Whatever Amy tells us we have to do, I guess.
Just if you got any thoughts, you gotta have one of them three, you
Right.
know? So I don't know if the county board's gonna ask that of you, or what's gonna happen with that, so I just thought I'd bring that up to see
When-
what your thoughts were
When
on
we
that.
sign the
or-
developer's agreement, we'll come up with what we're doing there.
Okay. Okay. But you understand that?
Yes, I
Okay.
understand that.
Okay. Okay, I don't think I have anything else. It's pretty well informative packet that you put in here. I think it's spelled out very good for us. We kind of hashed over a lot of them things the last time we met. There was no big changes that were asked at that time. You clarified some things, so I'm kind of happy with that. So I guess at this time, anybody else have any questions right now? Okay, if
Mr.
not. go
Mr.
ahead,
Chairman, I got
George.
one more question here that just came to my mind here. Say, Gary, on the, when you had your staff, on your staff report, it says the applicant stated most of the sites will be utilized for garages and personal storage. I don't, that's not gonna be true, is it?
Well, they're all set up for houses, but I have a lot of people that are asking for garages.
Okay.
So it's one or the other, or both, or,
And with your covenants, you should have that all covered because
Yes.
it's gotta be inside. You just can't
Yes, it
come and
is.
park 20 cars out there and hope nobody says anything.
yep,
Okay, thank you.
they're not gonna have that.
Okay, so at this time, I'm gonna ask if there's anybody in the audience that would like to speak to this application. If you would like to do that, please go up to the podium over there, speak in the microphone, state your name for the record. Anybody from the public wish to speak on this application? Any public comment? I gotta ask 3 times, so I'll ask the 3rd time. Any public comment? If hearing none, we'll close this portion of the meeting to the public. Okay, guess we got our sheets to vote on, so I guess I'll give one more opportunity to the board. If you guys had any other concerns or questions or comments, this would be the time, otherwise we're gonna proceed to vote. Okay, hearing none, we're gonna vote. You say, yay to vote to recommend approval, and nay for, recommend for denial, or, I guess. So I'll just go to George. Yes or no, I guess.
Yes.
Marvin,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
myself, Clint is yes. Okay, so that's four yeses, so would, I guess we could take a motion from somebody to recommend approval.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make that motion.
I'll second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. So we got a motion made and seconded to recommend approval to the County Board of Commissioners. All in favor, say aye.
All right,
Aye.
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 Okay. So we're gonna recommend approval to the County Board of Commissioners. They'll look at this on, January 28th, and, hopefully come up with a final verdict at that time. Any questions on this in between now and then, contact Amy or somebody in their staff at Land Services.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much.
Good luck
Thank
with
you all
it.
very much. And thank you, Sharon, for all your help you've done to us.
Thank you.
Okay, give me one second here. Okay, next up on our agenda, we have, Schmoody, Gerald Revocable Trust and the Towers LLC application for conditional use permit to allow a wireless telecommunication tower and facility located in point of southwest quarter, section 10, township 40, range 30, Little Falls Township. Would applicants please come up front at this time? When you guys get comfortable, please state your names for the record.
Okay, I'm Jerry or Gerald Smody.
Alex Truman, representing the Towers LLC, doing business as Vertical Bridge.
Okay. Thank you. Amy, you ready for the staff report?
I am, Mr. Chair. Again, this is a conditional use permit request for a telecommunications tower located in Section 10 of Little Falls Township. The ordinance references for this request is Section 604.6, which requires a conditional use permit for communication towers, and Section 1222, that contains the performance standards for telecommunication towers. Here's a plat map of Little Falls Township, and the red dot is the location of the parcel. And then here is the conditional use permit request received from the applicant. And I did not include the entire application in this PowerPoint, but you did receive the entire application in your packet. But then here are some site drawings that were provided within the application. And then here are some site photos that were also provided in the application. And this is an aerial photograph of the property outlined in blue. And then here is some oblique imagery taken from the north. This is a 7.2 acre parcel located approximately 1/2 mile east of the city limits of Little Falls, within Little Falls Township. Here is a picture of that also with the zoning districts turned on. It is dually zoned residential and agriculture. The applicant is Alex Truman of the Towers LLC on behalf of Vertical Bridge and Verizon. The applicant proposes constructing a 195-foot self-supported telecommunication tower with a 4-foot lightning rod for an overall height of 199 feet. The tower's location is on the east end of the property on the north side of the tree buffer, approximately 115 feet from the road right-of-way. The tower would be off Highway 27, a state highway. MnDOT has authorized a driveway entrance off Highway 27 to access the site. And then here is just a dialed-in drawing of the location of the tower on the property. The leased area is a 100 by 100 rock pad over geotextile fabric, and the area would be fenced with a gate on the east side. The leased compound would contain the tower, utility rack, and carrier equipment cabinet. The site is within the Little Falls, Morrison County Municipal Airport conical airspace, and the FAA has issued a determination of no hazard to air navigation. And then here is that letter provided by the FAA. The tower is self-supported and is designed to collapse onto itself. The applicant has provided an engineer's statement detailing the collapse zone, and there it is on figure 4. The applicant has also provided information regarding the proposal's compliance with the Land Use Control Ordinance performance standards and engineered tower plans. It is not proposed that the tower will be lighted, as there is no FAA requirement for this tower. The surrounding area consists of agricultural fields and commercial use. And here's an aerial photograph of the vicinity around the property outlined in blue. The applicable comprehensive land use plan goals and objectives is agriculture, goal A1 and A2, and then under A2, objective 1. And local economic development, goal C1, objective 8, goal C2, objectives 1, 7, and 19. 116 notices were sent and no comment was received prior to the public hearing. And then here are your conditional use criteria questions, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. You guys have anything to add to Amy's staff report, or does it seem correct to you guys?
That is correct, yeah. This
Okay.
project is being driven primarily just by demand in the network coverage and capacity. We're seeing a large increase in the number of residents that are expanding into the more rural areas. Cell phones, as you guys are more than aware, have, transitioned from an item of, luxury to necessity, especially over the last few years. We've seen just a massive increase in the amount of people using them for work from home, school from home, a massive increase to the number of emergency service calls that are being initiated from cell phone or cell phones in general, and this is really just to fill that need and provide that service to the residents of the county.
Okay, thank you. Guess at this time, anybody on the board have any questions for the applicants or staff?
Mr. Chair,
John?
does it, when you're constructing a tower like this, does it cost the county anything?
Absolutely not. No, there's no cost to the county. All costs are associated with this project are the responsibility of the tower developer, the tower's vertical bridge in this case. There's nothing that's out of pocket. You have time and review invested in this, but that is covered by the fees that we pay to the county to cover you for that time.
So how long does a tower like this last?
The physical structure itself, it's going to be around for multiple lifetimes. So it's actively maintained. It's industrial grade steel. It's going to outlast me, my children, and my children's children.
So you don't ever have to deconstruct these things?
No, the only time that it'd ever be deconstructed would be if, in the very unlikely event, it becomes obsolete and is no longer needed, then the tower would be decommissioned. We take everything back down. We remove the foundation, the compound, the access drive. We return the property to exactly how it was, within reason. We'll put new grass seed down, plant some things, et cetera, but we bring it back to as close to the original state as possible, if and when that time comes.
So you've had to do that before?
No, we haven't decommissioned sites, not in my memory. I'm sure at some point there's been a reason to do it, but no, decommissioning of sites for something like this is, while we have a plan for it, it's not something to be anticipated. There's a lot of money and infrastructure that goes into the cellular networks, and they're here to stay for the foreseeable future.
Understood. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead, George.
So Amy, can you bring up that overlay of the zoning for that acreage? So if you look along Highway 27 and along County Road 43, there's a residential strip along the highway and along County Road 43. So Amy, how does that fit into this? Because I know 1222.3, they're not permitted in residential zoning.
Yes.
So how does that work?
So, Mr. Chair,
Go ahead, Amy.
so this is a dually zoned parcel. So, when we have the kind of a change in, when we have a change in zoning district in a parcel on 50 feet on either side of that, we extend the uses in both areas. Also, when we're looking at the setback or the location of the actual tower, not the compound, but the tower itself. And so the setbacks that have been shown on the drawings show the setback from the fencing, and the tower is farther back. So taking advantage of that 50 feet of leeway, and then also that tower being farther back, that's why this is able to move forward.
Okay, thank you, Amy. Just clarification. Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead, Marvin.
first, what determines the location of your tower? I know you talked about the demand and everything else, and there's numerous places you could put it. Are they dead spots, weak spots, or do you, because obviously there's quite a few miles that could be put in different areas?
Yes, so it's That is a great question. There's a lot of different aspects that go into the exact location. So Verizon has radio frequency engineers, and their sole job is to model exactly the ideal location for it to be. It's not as large as you would imagine. There's a lot of other towers and cell phone macro sites that are spread across the county, and it's how they communicate with each other. So this site was located and selected specifically by the RF engineers to optimize the amount of coverage and capacity it can provide, because our goal is to limit the number of towers we have to build. So we want to make sure we're selecting locations that provide the maximum amount of increase to that coverage and capacity possible.
Okay, that answers that. The next one is, how many feet does is it when lighting is required? I know it's near airport. This one is going to be 199 feet. Is it over 200 feet when lighting is required? Do you try to keep it below that?
Yes, so it depends. So 200 feet is the threshold where you automatically have to light no matter what. This tower falls into a unique area just because there is a future plan for a runway expansion at the airport. So we did an extended study with the FFA for them to review it, and that's where we came up with our height, is to be in that, have no hazard impact to any future development of the airport. It just so happened that it also coincided with it not also being required to be lit. So that's where we came up with that height, was just based with working with the FAA and to make sure there would be no impact to the future development of the airport.
Okay, that sounds good. When I was first starting to read this, I said, well, you're not that far away from the airport. Then obviously I read through the rest of it back and it showed it, so thank you.
Yeah, we did. It took about 6 months of us working with the FAA to get this one approved and to meet all of their regulations and requirements.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead,
is
John.
the light that big of a deal on top of the tower? Is it expensive?
Oh, no, by no means, not at all. It is not a big deal. Really, all it does is just draw more attention to the tower itself. Our goal is to be able to incorporate into the community to the best of our ability. So we always target and try not to have them lit, just because like I said, it draws more attention to the tower. So if we can minimize the impact of the impact the tower has, that's always one of our primary goals to do.
Got it. Okay, thanks.
Okay, you guys got a really good packet put together here. I like how, you went through everything and typed in, basically answered every single thing on the sheet. That really helps us a lot. It's a lot less questions we have to ask. But reading through, you guys got the, map, and you got the engineered plans for all this and stuff. But it's nice to have a visual. Could one of you guys go up to the map and kind of point right where the tower is going to be, and then also what approach you're going to use to get into it? Or are you putting another approach in?
So the tower is going to be approximately right there.
Okay.
And right now, there is a clearing right here. It may have been one back in the day, an old field approach, but what we are looking to utilize is that gap in the trees to bring in our new access drive off of Highway 27, which MnDOT does not have any issues with. The reason why we selected this location on the parcel is due to the fact that you have this row of mature trees here to the south. They are pretty high. They're 30 to 45 feet, so it will do substantially camouflage the equipment, the compound, and the lower portion of the tower. We won't be removing any of those trees. We want to utilize them. There will be some minimal brush and tree clearance right here where the access drive is coming in, just to make sure we have the grade and put down some class 5 and make it suitable for access.
Okay, thank you. You can sit down. So then again, you did talk, there is no issues with the road departments as far as putting another approach there or anything like that? You've checked into that
Correct,
already?
yeah, we work
Okay.
with MnDOT. It's contingent on your approval
Yep.
and then the county's
Yep.
approval as well, but they have, they have not identified any concerns with us improving that access there.
Okay. Yeah, so reading through here, it's 199 feet. The breakaway is like 100, or pardon me, the break, if it were to fail and break, it's 97 and a half feet, is that correct?
97.5
Yep.
feet is what it was designed
Okay.
for.
Okay, I think that's all I really had, reading through it in my highlighted marks, so yep, here's 197, or 97.5. So I guess that's all I really had too. You guys have anything else, or I'll open up to the public?
Well, it'll use about 1/4 of an acre of land.
Okay, about a quarter acre. Okay. So I guess at this time, we'll open up if there's anybody in the public that would have some public comment, either for or against this application, please go to the podium and state your name for the record.
My name is Jeremy Gross. I'm speaking for my wife, Mary's daughter. Will this affect the value of houses? That's a question.
Okay.
Are there any health risks, tumors or anything in the future for any of the neighborhood? Environmental impact study. There's a wetland to the east of there. Will that affect anything? Will we be getting a tax reduction if our property is worth less per house? And has this been brought up to Camp Ripley, because they like to fly the planes through there? And the last thing I have to say is your daughter does not want it there. That's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I think so. Any other public comment? Any other public comment? Any other public comment? That'll be the final time I ask. Hearing no more, we'll close this portion of the meeting to the public. So Amy, would you be able to answer some of that, or?
Yes, I made notes of everything, and I can answer some of those things. As far as, let's see, Camp Ripley, and I think that question, when we have concerns about that, the FAA generally will address that in their study as far as any known flight patterns. And I have not heard comment from Camp Ripley that this would be disruptive to their operations. The health impacts, I have not been made aware of any study that reveals any sort of health impact or long-term health impacts, but I think the applicant can probably answer that as well. Environmental impact statement, that this does not, a communications tower does not trip a mandatory category for an environmental assessment worksheet or an environmental impact statement, so none was ordered. The tax value of homes, the value that we place on homes as far as for market value, that's based on the sales in the area. So the presence of a tower in and of itself, the county will not reduce a taxable market value. If sales data comes in, that area is selling for less, we may reduce that, but tying that specifically to the tower, we may not ever have that data to know that would be the reason why a property value would go down. And so I think I've addressed those. And I don't know if the applicant wants to speak to any of those, Mr. Chair.
Yep. Would you have any pertinent information as far as health or anything that way, or if you heard anything with tax values or anything like that, property values, I should say?
As far as property values go, we have not seen any data that shows that there's a reduction in the value of properties. In the last couple of years, we've actually seen the exact opposite trend, is that cellular coverage is becoming one of the primary factors when people are selecting and purchasing new homes, and the quality of that coverage. So it's almost a reverse effect, that it's really a very important aspect to have, especially with the younger generations when they are out looking to purchase homes.
Then how about, do you ever hear anything about any health issues with?
We do not know. This is a heavily regulated industry. We are compliant. All carriers are compliant with the state, federal, local laws. There's lots of studies out there that you can reference. There's no indication that there's any health concerns or impact, short-term or long-term.
Okay. Brings up one question I had. I think reading in the packet, it showed that there'd be multiple entities that would have things on this tower. Is that correct? Or is it has the capability for that?
It has the capability. It goes back to what we stated before. Our goal is to build the least amount of towers possible, just so we can incorporate into the community the best we can. So it is capable of handling more tenants, more carriers. At
Okay.
this time, we don't have those. That being said, it could be a month from now, it could be a year from now, but it is capable of handling that in the future if that demand is there.
And that's capable of handling 4 or 5, I can't
It is
remember.
capable of handling 4 carriers.
Okay, that's what I thought. The bottom one would be like a dish network or something like that, or a TV thing I think I seen in the.
Yeah, we have different outlays that we propose, but from a structural standpoint, it can handle 3 more additional carriers with full loading, if it was needed.
Okay.
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead, Marvin.
I can also piggyback off of Alex's comment. My brother recently sold a home, but there was a contingency that they had to have such a high cell coverage before they could, the buyer would make this agreement, and which they did, and which they did make the sale. So I've heard that in other ways, but I know it for a fact in that.
Okay, anybody else have anything else, or are you ready to go to the criteria questions? Okay, we'll move on to the criteria questions. Okay, question 1. We'll go to George. The use will not put an excess burden on roadways, utilities, and public facilities such as schools and parks.
No, it should not, Mr. Chairman. It's a telecommunications facility. It's designed to run without people there. Once the facility is built, there should be very little in and out traffic. Shouldn't be any burden to public utilities and facilities or schools. They're all a mile away. So my answer would be yes, it should be fine.
Okay, anybody have anything to add to question 1? If not, we'll move on to question 2. It'll be for Marvin. The request will not be detrimental to the use and enjoyment of other property in immediate vicinity for the purposes already permitted, nor impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of surrounding vacant property for uses predominant area.
Yes, it will not, and has a few things to bring that to light. They did number one, it's a good access off of 27. And the other part is they're behind a tree line, so it is hidden quite well. In fact, it will, with all the agricultural, we talked about the cell phones, we talked about, another thing that wasn't brought up is the GPSs that have been used in agriculture and which utilizes this frequently. Instead, it will help the area rather than being detrimental to the area. And then also, when you look at emergency, using your cell phone, so it will not impede, but it will help.
Okay, thank you, Marvin. Anybody have anything to add to question 2? Now we'll move to question 3. John can do this one. The use, in the opinion of the Planning Commission, is reasonably related to the existing land use and the environment. Groundwater, surface water, and air quality in the surrounding area will not be adversely affected by this proposed use.
Well, the applicant answers, this facility is heavily regulated and will be compliant with all federal, state, and local laws, which they have to be anyway. There will be absolutely no adverse impact to the groundwater, surface water, or air quality in the surrounding area due to this facility. You could probably raise a question about that one, but as Amy pointed out earlier, we don't have to raise a question about it because the construction for this facility doesn't trip any of those regulations, so, yep.
Okay, thank you, John. Anybody have anything to add to question 3? If not, we'll move on to question 4. Is the use is consistent with the purposes of the zoning ordinance and the purposes of the zoning district in which the applicant intends to locate the proposed use? I'll take that one, and I would say yes. It's allowed in that zoning, and then they're right in the verge of the dual zoning, we call it, and then it meets all them setbacks. So that's why they're here tonight. Otherwise, they'd have to be working on something else to get that approved for that portion. So yes, it does fit. It's allowed use in that area with this conditional use permit. So I would have to say yes for question 4. Anybody have anything to add to question 4? Hearing none, we'll move to question 5. The use is not in conflict with the comprehensive plan or the water plan of the county. George, you want to take that one again?
Yes, sir. The proposed facility is not in conflict with the comprehensive plan or water plan of Morrison County and aligns with the county's continued desire to increase economic growth and improve the quality of living standards throughout the county. And I will add that it is also, it's a dual zoned lot, but with the way it's set up, it is zoned ag, and it should fit in there very nicely and help out, hopefully, cell phone coverage in Morrison County.
Okay, anybody have anything to add to question 5? Okay, hearing none. You guys have any more questions or conditions or anything like that? I don't think there's no conditions that kind of come to mind, but
Mr. Chair, I think it's pretty straightforward, and it's probably the 5th one we're going to maybe approve here in the last few years.
okay. Okay, so we'll vote on the questions. Okay, question 1. The use will not put an excess burden on roadways, utilities, and public facilities such as parks and schools. George?
Yes.
Marvin?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Myself, Clint, is yes. Question 2, the request will not be detrimental to the use and enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity for the purposes already permitted, nor impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of surrounding vacant property for the use's predominant area. Marvin?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Myself, Clint, is yes. George?
Yes.
Question 3, the use in the opinion of the planning commission is reasonably related to the existing land use and the environment. Groundwater, surface water, and air quality in the surrounding area will not be adversely affected by this proposed use. John?
Yes.
Myself, Clint, is yes. George?
Yes.
Marvin?
Yes.
Question 4, the use is consistent with the purposes of the zoning ordinance and the purpose of the zoning district in which the applicant intends to locate the proposed use. Myself, Clint, is yes. George?
Yes.
Marvin?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Question 5, the use is not in conflict with the comprehensive plan or the water plan of the county. George?
Yes.
Marvin?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Myself, Clint, is yes. Okay, looks like all the questions were answered in affirmative, so I guess we would take a motion to recommend approval.
Mr. Chairman, I would make that motion to approve this conditional use permit.
Okay, is there a second?
So moved.
Hey, John? Okay, there's a motion made and seconded to recommend approval to the county board. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, motion's approved. We'll recommend approval to the County Board of Commissioners. They'll look at this and decide on this on January 28th at their county board meeting. You guys got anything in between now and then, please contact Land Services and they'll help you.
Thank you. Appreciate
Okay,
your time.
thank you and good luck. Okay, at this time, you guys get a chance to look over the minutes from November 26th.
Mr. Chair, I read them, and I make a motion to approve them.
Okay, I'll second them. Motion made and seconded to approve the minutes. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, minutes are approved. Any new business?
Mr. Chair, just wanted to let you know that I had some discussion with the county board at their planning session this morning regarding renewable energy. And we're in kind of a really nice position because there is some money that's coming from the United States Department of Energy to Minnesota for looking at siting and regulating renewable energy. And that money is going to the Great Plains Institute to write or update our model ordinances regarding renewable energy. And so the zoning administrator group for the state is working with the Great Plains Institute in order to look at developing those to have some consistency across the state of Minnesota. So I updated the board on that. But one of the things that we're gonna do in the meantime is we're gonna look at, and I'll be bringing a draft ordinance to the board when I have it done, is looking at the biodigesters. That is something that may get addressed in this bigger project, but looking at just a draft for some very straightforward projects. So that will be coming your way once I have a draft put together, but just wanted to let you know that we are working and we're moving forward on some initiatives with that, and so more to come on that. So as far as for new business, I think that's all I've got.
Okay, thank you, Amy. Any old business? I don't think there is any.
I don't have any,
No.
Mr. Chair.
Okay, guess we take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor of adjourning, say aye.
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 Okay, meeting adjourned at 6:52.